Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? Now that the Extreme Super Battle Road stages are officially out on the JP side of Dokkan Battle, I think now is more than ever a good time to start this conversation about the potential Extreme Z Awakenings for the 120% monotype leads. This video will basically just be for the super type units within that monotype lead setting, but it's eventually going to happen during the course of 2020 after all the other units, outstanding units like the Vegeta Blue for JP, and then the Super Saiyan Rose Agility type also, and then the Intelligence Physical Trunks, stuff like that. And once those are completed, definitely most likely we're going to be seeing EZAs for the 120% leads, especially again now with the Extreme Super Battle Road settings available. Of course, you could certainly run category setups with only one type, but certain players I'm sure are definitely struggling with those stages, and the introduction of the 120% monotype leads with upgrades to potentially 150% would definitely make sense in that case. So again, in 2020, it's most likely going to happen, and this is more or less not just from a showcase for this team specifically to see how they do, but also a way to really start the conversation and potentially what to expect. I did do a video a while back on some of the highest attack stats setting based on just the improvement of the stats themselves, no impact to the passes, and they look pretty ridiculous as they are, but it'll be really interesting to see how the super attack and passive skill upgrades get incorporated into the units, EZA and stuff like that. But for this video's purposes, let's just go through kind of individually one unit at a time and just talk about some of the highlights of each of these guys and see potentially what they might end up becoming later on after the EZA. So we'll start off with the Strength type Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Now this guy is still ridiculously pretty good. I mean, on an ideal category setup, this guy can still perform very well. And again, this is the introduction of really the countering super attacks with tremendous power setting. Of course, the Vegeta also does have that, but the passive skills attack increase of 150%. Causes immense damage with the super attack defense increase of 30% for 6 turns. So this guy is still very, very good. Again, it'll be interesting to see how much of an improvement they actually give him, or are the 120% leads really going for more of the upgrade to the leader skills to benefit the team building for, again, the Super Battle Road extreme categories or extreme stage settings. So that's definitely thing to certainly think about and what to expect. I wouldn't necessarily get my hopes up too high, but there are a lot of units on the 120% lead setting that could potentially become very, very good. The Agility Super Saiyan 4 Goku is a similar mold to Vegeta is a similar mold to the Goku unit in a way, but different skill sets obviously based on the super and passive. With the super attack for this guy, along with causing immense damage to enemy, also does greatly lower defense. Passive skill is not only an attack boost, but also defense increase of 120%. Again, medium chance of evading enemies, super attack, and countering with tremendous power. So defensively, this guy is definitely better than the Goku unit, but at least the Goku unit does get that defense increase of 30% based on every super attack performed. But of course, it's also nice for this version where you do get a flat 120% increase. When the unit becomes available on the rotation. The Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku, the tech version, is also still pretty good. I do tend to run this guy on certain occasions, like of course like Super Battle Road, but also the Battlefield setting. Of course, the leader skill is a very good secondary lead to have as well. But overall, I mean, this guy could definitely use some sort of defensive boost based on the passive alone. I mean, you are getting at least 120% toward attack, and then you do get an extra 20% for attack per every Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. But again, based on what you just heard, you don't get any sort of defensive boost whatsoever. So he can definitely become a little bit of a liability on the defensive side. So again, with the EZA, I would definitely like to see some sort of percentage-based defense increase, or even maybe with every rainbow key sphere obtained, instead of just attack increase 20%, maybe add defense increase to 10% or something like that to that degree. It might be a little bit lackluster with that, but any sort of improvement toward defense would certainly be a good thing for this particular unit. The super attack, really, along with causing immense damage, you were just looking at a rare chance to stun the enemy. That needs to definitely be upgraded to hopefully like a medium chance, something like that. I would assume they would probably at least go with that upgrade instead of a rare chance. It does happen, but it can definitely be on the low side in terms of frequency of how many times you actually stun the enemy. So again, that could potentially happen with that unit. The next one up is certainly one that could probably use the most, the unit that could the most beneficial to get an EZA basically, and the one I'm referring to is the physical type Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks unit. The big thing about this guy is, as good as he is offensively, defensively, this guy is definitely a pretty big liability, especially on the tougher battle settings. Even like Super Battle Road, this guy will take a pretty hefty amount of damage and can certainly be a liability. Honestly, when I typically run this unit, whenever I have a need to, most of the time I'll end up placing this guy as a floater or in a position where the least amount of attacks are coming within the turn. So, based on the skill settings, this guy does have 3 variations of super attacks. Again, based on the 9 to 10 key, causes immense damage and greatly lowers defense. The 11 key obviously is the best one, where it massively raises attack for 1 turn and causes immense damage to enemy. The 12 key super attack will cause immense damage to enemy and also raises attack for 1 turn. The passive skill is attack increase to 120%, which is pretty nice, plus an additional attack increase of 60% and defense decrease of 30% for 7 turns from the start of turn. So again, offensively, this guy's very good. Again, the defense decrease of 30% for 7 turns. That really does make a difference. 30% decrease toward defense, whereas typically a lot of units get some sort of defensive percentage-based boost. That definitely does make quite a bit of a difference in terms of not just tanking attacks necessarily, but just defending in general. So again, with the EZA, I really hope they do eliminate that defense penalty, I guess, in a way, with 30%. Maybe, honestly, just negating that itself would be pretty nice. But again, I'm not Nostradamus or anything. I can't really predict the future. I can only tell you what I prefer to see in a potential EZA, basically. The last guy is the Intelligence Super Gazeta unit. I do like this guy still a lot to this day, and I do run this unit on a couple of different settings. Of course, the strength version with the EZA is substantially better, but this guy can still perform pretty well based on the relevant teams and setups. Like, again, Super Battle Road, Battlefield, some of the Extreme Z battle events where this category unit applies, things of that nature. This guy is still very good. The nice thing about this unit, in my opinion, is the super attack ability, where you do lower attack and defense along with causing immense damage to enemies. So again, with the potential EZA, I would definitely like to see that change to greatly lowers attack and defense. I can for sure say that will make a hell of a difference in terms of the practical use of this unit, and I would definitely see myself using this version of Gogeta a lot on settings like Super Battle Road and stuff like that, because not just from a greatly lowering defense standpoint, but the ability to also greatly lower attack can have a lot of beneficial value in areas like Super Battle Road. So that could really help out runs with categories or monotype teams where you're running this unit on. The other good thing about this guy is similar to any Gogeta unit, attacks effective against all types. So that is basically a very good way to maximize damage along with potential additionals and criticals. I'm going to be honest with you, I actually went with a different approach with this particular unit. I went with a focus on additional attack and evasion. So just to basically, the point being, this guy did provide, he provides effective attacks against all types. So I more or less prioritized a potential dodging mechanism versus getting that extra damage applied from a critical hit. So again, I went with additionals and evasion. Obviously, you can go with the additionals and critical hits component, and that certainly might change with the potential EZA of this unit. But along with attacks effective against all types, attack increase of 120% is also very nice as well. So again, these units are pretty good as they are, but the EZA obviously is going to greatly improve the unit itself. I think the biggest thing that you're going to see beneficial out of this potential EZA from this batch of units is, again, the upgrade to leader skill. Now, right now, it's 120% for the super type, and then the extreme types for the relevant mono type get a 50%. So likely, my guess is this will change to 150% for the super type leader settings, and then probably 90% for the extreme type, and then it'll be vice versa for the extreme counterpart, 120% monotype lead. So that's really my guess, and I think that'll be good enough. 150% is going to be a pretty nice boost, and again, on a super battle road setting, you can only bring a certain class of a certain type of unit anyway, so it's not like you're going to be incorporating a mixed or blended approach of super and extreme type units. Basically, the whole focus should be toward that, whether it's a super or extreme type based on a certain type setting or mono attribute. It gets a little bit confusing because, class, I guess, is the correct terminology for super and extreme, and then types are for the attributes or whatever the case is. But this is definitely something, in my opinion, and my guess is it'll happen during the course of 2020. I think, especially with the introduction of the Extreme Super Battle Road stages, it's definitely leaning toward that. So again, maybe, second half in the year, we might potentially start seeing that happen. But when it does, it'll definitely be pretty crazy because these guys are still pretty good on the relevant categories and team builds that you can, include them on. So we'll certainly find out how it goes. But again, this is pretty much a showcase for the 120% monotype leads on the same team with the Vegito Blue leaders, and also just to get a conversation going on a potential EZA. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Okay, peace out.